From Pacifica, this is Democracy Now!
Without serious, purposeful, and united international pressure, including from the powers of the region, it is impossible for me or anyone to compel the Syrian government in the first place, and also the opposition, to take the steps necessary to begin a political process.
Kofi Annan resigns as UN Special Envoy for Syria. We'll speak with investigative journalist Charles Glass, recently back from Syria. He says the choice is not between Assad and the opposition, but between two oppositions. Then the mother of WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange meets with the Ecuadorian president Rafael Correa to ask for political asylum for her son.
And we know that WikiLeaks and Julian are doing something good for the world. We have millions of supporters among the peoples of the world. And this is more than an issue now of just WikiLeaks or just Julian. This is now an issue of justice and the future of press freedom.
Before Assange took refuge in the Ecuadorian embassy in London to avoid extradition to Sweden, he interviewed the Ecuadorian president about WikiLeaks.
President Correa, why did you want us to release all the cables?
Those who don't owe anything have nothing to fear. We have nothing to hide. Your WikiLeaks have made us stronger.
We'll speak with Peter Kornblue, who edited a special issue of The Nation magazine called WikiLeaks Latin America. All that and more coming up. Welcome to Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman. The UN Arab League Special Envoy to Syria, Kofi Annan, has announced his resignation after failing to bring an end to more than a year of violence. On Thursday, Annan said both sides, particularly the Syrian government, had failed to respect his ceasefire plan.
The increasing militarization on the ground and the clear lack of unity in the Security Council have fundamentally changed the circumstances for the effective exercise of my role. Yet, the bloodshed continues, most of all because of Syrian government's intransigence and continuing refusal to implement the six-point plan, and also because of the escalating military campaign of the opposition, all of which is compounded by the disunity of the international community.
Annan's resignation will take effect at the end of the month. His departure comes amidst fierce clashes in Aleppo, where rebels say they now control more than half the city. We'll have more on Syria after headlines with investigative journalist Charles Glass. The United Nations says North Korea has requested urgent food aid following the major floods that hit the country last month. North Korea says it needs assistance in areas where at least 119 people died and tens of thousands were made homeless. The flood devastated infrastructure and crops, compounding North Korea's existing problems with a shortage of food. On the campaign trail, President Obama continued to swing through battleground states Thursday with a stop in Florida. Speaking to supporters in Orlando, Obama said Republicans' backing of tax cuts favoring the wealthy is trickle-down fairy dust.
Look, Orlando, we know better. They have tried to sell us this trickle-down tax cut fairy dust before. And guess what? It didn't work then. It will not work now. It's not a plan to create jobs. It is not a plan to reduce the deficit. It is not a plan to build our middle class. It is not a plan to move our economy forward. It takes us backwards to a place we don't need to be.
Republican candidate Mitt Romney, meanwhile, was in Colorado in an apparent effort to confront the Obama campaign's focus on his links to shipping U.S. jobs overseas. Romney suggested his familiarity with outsourcing makes him well poised to return jobs to the United States.
I understand how businesses decide to grow when they decide to shrink, why they decide to go overseas, how they decide to come back here. I understand what it takes to get America working again. I understand that it's small businesses that create jobs in America, that people create jobs, not government, and I'm going to get America working again.
The U.S. government's lone site for handling and processing weapons-grade uranium has been temporarily shut down after anti-nuclear activists infiltrated the premises. 3 activists, including an 82-year-old nun, reportedly cut through fences to paint slogans and throw blood on the wall of the Y-12 nuclear weapons plant in Oak Ridge, Tennessee. The facility processes uranium for new hydrogen bombs, calling themselves the Transform Now Plowshares. The 3 activists appeared before a magistrate judge in Knoxville on Thursday. The facility will remain shut down at least until next week. U.S. officials have maintained no nuclear materials were jeopardized, but experts have marveled at how a small group could have infiltrated the high-risk site. One former congressional investigator and security consultant called the breach, quote, the worst we've ever seen. The Senate's defeated a revised version of the Obama administration-backed Cybersecurity Act, failing to reach the 60 votes needed for passage. The measure would have directed the Department of Homeland Security to conduct cybersecurity risk assessments of critical infrastructure and carry out responses. The bill had been updated to reflect a number of privacy concerns after President Obama threatened to veto earlier this year. The new provisions called for annual disclosures of the information collected by government agencies and would grant U.S. citizens to sue the government in the case of violations. The Obama administration has confirmed it will oppose any proposal to hand regulatory control of the Internet to the United Nations. Proposals have circulated to bring the Internet under UN auspices at a conference of the International Telecommunications Regulations in Dubai later this year. But in a new position paper, the U.S. said it would reject UN authority and continue with its current system of oversight by the Department of Commerce. The psychiatrist who treated Aurora, Colorado shooting suspect James Holmes reportedly disclosed she had warned officials at Holmes' school, the University of Colorado, about his alarming behavior more than a month before the massacre. Dr. Lynn Fenton says her warnings went unheeded and that no action was taken because Holmes was in the process of dropping out of school. And the mother of an African-American man who died while handcuffed in the back of a police vehicle in Arkansas is demanding justice for her son. 21-year-old Travis Carter was detained Saturday after allegedly being found with marijuana. Police say he was handcuffed and placed in the back of a police cruiser, at which point he accidentally shot himself in the back of the head while reaching for a gun. In an interview, Carter's mother, Teresa Carter, cast doubt on the police's claims.
I think they killed him. I mean, my son was suicidal. They searched him twice. I mean, I just want to know what really happened.
Carter's mother says the police's account is further questionable because he was shot through the right temple despite being left-handed. Shortly before his death, Carter had phoned his girlfriend to tell her he would contact her from jail. And those are some of the headlines. This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman. We're on the road in Baltimore.